In the quiet hum of the city, two worlds spun on separate axes, destined to collide. The first world smelled of oil, honest sweat, and the faint, sweet scent of bubblegum from a little girl's pocket. It belonged to Liam O'Connell, a man whose grease-stained hands could diagnose the soul of an engine. His garage was a sanctuary of steel and order, a place where broken things were made whole. His universe orbited a single, brilliant star, his 7-year-old daughter, Maya, whose crayon drawings of smiling suns were taped to the tool chests. The second world, miles above in a tower of glass and chrome, was silent, save for the whisper of conditioned air. It belonged to Isabella Vance, CEO of Vance Industries, a woman whose manicured hands signed deals that shifted global markets. Her penthouse office was a monument to minimalist power, a sterile expanse of white marble and black leather. Her universe was a cold, calculated machine of profit and loss, devoid of color, devoid of warmth. She was powerful, respected, and utterly alone. The collision began not with an earthquake, but with a cough, a sputtering, undignified death rattle from the heart of a machine thought to be perfect. Isabella's custom-built, one-of-a-kind supercar. It rolled to a stop a block from Liam's garage, the only one for miles. When Isabella emerged, her fury was a palpable force. She saw the humble sign, O'Connell's Auto Repair, and scoffed. A tow truck deposited the dead machine into Liam's bay, and Isabella swept in after it, her sharp heels clicking an impatient rhythm on the concrete floor. Maya was sitting at a small, sturdy wooden desk Liam had built for her, carefully coloring a picture. She looked up, her eyes wide with wonder at the sleek, silver car. "Wow," she breathed. Isabella ignored her, her gaze fixed on Liam as he wiped his hands on a rag. "You," she commanded, not asked. "I need this fixed. Now. My engineers are on their way, but I expect you to have the initial diagnostic done by the time they arrive. Don't touch anything you don't understand, which I suspect is most of it." Her voice was like chipped ice. Liam's calm was a fortress. "I'll take a look, ma'am." As he approached the vehicle, Maya, "Hold a daughter," he said, his voice low and steady, "is the cleanest thing in this city, and she's welcome anywhere I am. The car can wait. You, however, can leave." He had never spoken to a client like that, but this woman had not seen a client or a mechanic. She had seen an obstacle and an inconvenience. He saw a woman who had forgotten how to see people at all. For a moment, the billionaire CEO was speechless, staring at the grease-stained mechanic who had just dismissed her as if she were nothing. The challenge was made, and the world held its breath, waiting to see how a titan in a glass tower would react to a king in a kingdom of concrete and steel. Isabella's shock curdled into indignation. No one had ever spoken to her that way. "Do you have any idea who I am?" she asked, her voice dangerously quiet. Liam met her gaze without flinching. "I know you're a person with a broken car, and you were rude to a little girl. Around here, the second one is a bigger problem." He turned his back on her and knelt beside the open engine bay, his attention now fully on the intricate machinery. The dismissal was absolute. Humiliation warred with necessity in Isabella's chest. Her high-paid engineers were 40 minutes out, and this meeting was critical. Swallowing her pride, a bitter taste she wasn't accustomed to, she forced a clipped, formal tone. "Fine. I apologize. To your daughter." She looked at Maya, who peeked out from behind Liam's leg. "I am sorry. I was stressed." Liam didn't look up, but he nodded, accepting the truce. He gestured for his diagnostic tablet. For the next 10 minutes, a strange silence fell over the garage. Isabella stood, arms crossed, watching with a cynical eye as this simple mechanic moved with an impossible grace. His hands, which she had seen as merely dirty, moved over the engine with the precision of a concert pianist. He didn't fumble. He didn't guess. There was a fluid economy to his every action, a deep, instinctual understanding of the complex system before him. He connected his tablet, and lines of code scrolled across the screen. Her own team, the best in the world, had told her the engine's proprietary microcontroller was a black box, virtually unreadable without their specific hardware. Yet pressure pin in the fuel regulator assembly. It wasn't seated correctly during manufacturing, caused a vibration feedback loop that mimics total engine failure. It's a design flaw. He wiped his hands again. You should have them recall the model. Her security chief arrived, followed by two of her top engineers, who bustled in carrying cases of equipment. Isabella held up a hand to stop them. Skeptically, she slid into the driver's seat. She pressed the ignition button. The engine, which had been utterly silent, roared to life with a perfect, throaty purr. The engineers stared, mouths agape. Isabella sat in the humming supercar, her world tilted on its axis. The certainty she had about the order of things, about worth, expertise, and status, was crumbling. This man, in this grimy garage, had just done the impossible, as if it were trivial. She looked at him, truly looked at him, and saw not just a mechanic, but a mystery. The way he stood, the focused calm in his eyes, the disciplined power in his movements. It didn't belong here. As she drove away, the roar of her perfectly tuned engine couldn't drown out the question echoing in her mind. Who is Liam O'Connell? Back in the silent austerity of her office, the question consumed her. She couldn't reconcile the man with the garage. It was a dissonant chord that played over and over in her head. Find him, she ordered her head of security, a stoic man named Marcus. I don't want a credit score and a list of prior addresses. I want to know everything. I want to know where he learned to do what he did today. I want to know why he's there. Marcus, ever efficient, returned in under an hour. He placed a single, thin file on her vast marble desk. It wasn't easy, he said. He's lived off the grid for the last 8 years, but we found him. Isabella opened the folder. The first page was a standard driver's license photo of Liam, looking tired but resolute. The second page was a single, grainy photograph that made her breath catch in her throat. It was Liam, younger, standing in the center of a hexagonal ring, one arm raised in victory by a referee. His body was a sculpture of conditioned muscle, his face a mask of intense focus. Millions in future earnings, and disappeared completely, all to raise his daughter away from the chaos and violence of his world. He had traded a championship belt for a toolbox, a roaring stadium for a quiet garage, all for the little girl who colored pictures of the sun. Isabella closed the file, a profound sense of awe and shame washing over her. She had mistaken a lion for a stray dog. She returned to the garage the next day. The supercar was gone, replaced by her discreet town car. She found Liam organizing a set of wrenches, hanging each one in its precise place. He didn't seem surprised to see her. Your car is at your corporate garage, he said without turning around. My fee has been sent to your office. That's not why I'm here. Isabella's voice was softer now, stripped of its arrogance. She held out a small, beautifully wrapped box. This is for Maya. Liam turned, his expression unreadable. Inside the box was the most intricate and expensive set of art supplies imaginable. But beside it was something else. A framed photograph of a smiling sun. A high-quality print of the very drawing Maya had tried to show her. Before Liam could speak, Maya herself ran out from the small office in the back. Daddy, look! She held up a new drawing. It was of a woman with sharp hair and a sad face, standing next to a broken silver car. But in Maya's drawing, a little girl was holding the woman's hand. Maya walked right up to Isabella and held it out. This is you, she said, so you won't be sad anymore. For the first time in over a decade, Isabella Vance felt the sting of tears. A child's simple kindness had breached defenses that corporate raiders and hostile negotiations never could. She knelt down, meeting Maya on her level. Thank you, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. As she stood up, her phone buzzed with a priority alert. Her face went pale as she read the message. It's happening, she said, more to herself than to Liam. Julian. He's making his move. Liam saw the genuine fear in her eyes. Julian? Julian Croft, my ex-fiancé, and my biggest corporate rival. She looked at Liam, a desperate, brilliant idea forming, and looked from the powerful, vulnerable woman before him to his daughter, who was happily unwrapping the art supplies. His quiet life was about to end, but he knew he couldn't refuse. A threat to this woman, he realized, was now indirectly a threat to the fragile peace he had built for his daughter. "Tell me everything," he said, and the Titan was back. In the small, cluttered office of the garage, surrounded by Maya's drawings, Isabella laid out the complex web of Julian Croft's betrayal. It was a world away from a UFC octagon, but Liam saw the familiar patterns of feints, jabs, and knockout blows. Julian wasn't just attacking her company's stock price, he was systematically dismantling its operations from the inside, using a network of moles to sabotage key projects and steal proprietary data. "He's targeting our new clean energy initiative," Isabella explained, pointing to a schematic on her tablet. "It's my legacy project. If it fails, the board will lose faith in me, and his takeover will be a formality." Liam studied the documents. He didn't understand the complex science, but he understood strategy. "He's not just trying to win, he's trying to humiliate you. This is personal." He looked at the list of key personnel on the project. Who here is loyal, and who can be broken? Isabella's world was built on contracts and non-disclosure agreements, not loyalty. She hesitated. Liam saw it instantly. "You don't trust anyone," he stated. It wasn't an accusation, just a fact. "Trust is a liability in my world," she admitted. "In my old world, it was the only thing that kept you from getting knocked out," he countered. "Your opponent can't see your corner man. You have to trust he sees the opening you don't." He pointed to the name of a lead engineer, a man named David Chen. "This man. What's his story?" Isabella's files showed Chen was brilliant, but recently passed over for a promotion. A classic vulnerability. "Julian probably offered him a better position. Or threatened him," Liam said. He tapped the screen. "Let me talk to him. Not as a CEO's enforcer, just as a guy who knows what it's like to be backed into a corner." The meeting took place in a neutral coffee shop. Liam wore his usual jeans and work shirt, a stark contrast to the first piece of the puzzle. But Chen's information revealed a far more dangerous game. This wasn't just corporate espionage. It was a personal vendetta designed to leave Isabella with nothing. With Chen's testimony secured, they had a foothold, but it wasn't enough. Julian's plan was too deeply embedded. Liam knew their next move had to be bolder. The sabotage data was being routed through a private off-site server, a digital fortress Julian had built. Isabella's tech team said it was impenetrable. "Everything has a weakness," Liam insisted, looking at the server's physical schematics. "He's expecting a digital attack. He's not expecting a physical one." The plan was audacious. The server was housed in a high-security data center. Liam, using his old-world connections, secured blueprints and guard schedules. He wasn't going in with guns, he was going in with his mind and body. While Isabella created a high-level digital diversion that drew the facility's attention, Liam exploited a blind spot in the surveillance system, a maintenance corridor. The hours that followed were a masterclass in controlled chaos. Liam moved through the facility with the silent grace of a predator. He disabled guards using precise, non-lethal submission holds, the kind of technique that had won him championships. He was a ghost in the machine, his movements economical and devastatingly effective. He reached the server room, a cold, humming heart of blinking lights. Using a device Isabella's team had built, he initiated a data transfer, downloading the unaltered original files that would prove the energy project was a resounding success. He also found something more, a hidden folder. Inside was the full, horrifying scope of Julian's plan. He had fabricated evidence, emails, financial records, voice memos, to frame Isabella for massive corporate fraud. His plan wasn't just to take her company, it was to send her to prison. It was a final, cruel checkmate. As Liam secured the data, an alarm blared. A silent tripwire had been activated. He was trapped. but the champion strategist had already planned for this. He had seen this move coming. He fought his way out, not with rage, but with cold, calculated efficiency, and vanished into the night just as Julian's private security forces swarmed the building, finding nothing with the hum of high-end laptops Isabella had brought in. Maya, sensing the gravity, sat quietly at her desk, drawing pictures of lions chasing away shadowy figures. Liam and Isabella worked side by side, a study in contrasts. Her world was data, finance, and legal precedent. His was timing, psychology, and anticipating an opponent's next move. Together, they were formidable. "He'll expect a legal defense," Liam said, pacing the concrete floor. "He'll have his lawyers ready to drown you in motions and paperwork. We can't fight him on his terms." "What other terms are there?" Isabella asked, exhausted. "The terms of a fight," Liam replied. "You don't block a punch with a paragraph. You counter. You hit them where they're exposed." He outlined the plan. Isabella would let Julian make his entire case. She would appear beaten, cornered. She would let the board believe he had won. Then, when his arrogance was at its peak, she would yield the floor. That's when Liam would walk in. "They won't listen to a mechanic," Isabella argued, a flicker of her old doubt returning. "He won't be facing a mechanic," Liam said, his voice resonating with a power she hadn't heard before. "He'll be facing the Titan." The day of the board meeting arrived. The room was a cathedral of corporate power, all polished mahogany and tense, whispered conversations. Isabella stood alone at the head of the table, poised and elegant, but her eyes betrayed a deep vulnerability, a performance they had rehearsed. Julian Croft, handsome and smug, began his presentation. With cold precision, he laid out his fabricated evidence, painting Isabella as a corrupt and incompetent leader. The board members shifted uncomfortably. The mood in the room turned against her. Julian had won. He delivered his final line with a flourish of theatrical pity. "And so, with a heavy heart, I must ask for a vote of no confidence." Isabella let the silence hang in the air. Then she spoke, her voice clear and steady. "Before you vote, there is one more person you need to hear from. He has a unique perspective on Mr. Croft's evidence." The doors at the back of the boardroom opened. Liam O'Connell walked in. He wasn't wearing his greasy work clothes. He laid out the entire conspiracy, step by step. He didn't present charts or graphs. He told a story of blackmail, of lies, of a man so consumed by bitterness that he would destroy lives to soothe his own ego. Then, he played the audio file, a recording of Julian threatening Chen's family. The room went dead silent. He followed it with the original, untampered data from the energy project, showing record-breaking success. Finally, he displayed the evidence of the frame-up on the main screen for all to see. Julian was on his feet, his face pale, sputtering denials, but Liam had anticipated this too. "The final piece of evidence," Liam said, his eyes locked on Julian, "is you." He took a step forward. "Champions know one thing. When the pressure is on, your true character always comes out." Julian, panicking, lunged not at Liam, but at the data hub on the table, trying to destroy the evidence. It was a desperate, sloppy move. Liam intercepted him effortlessly, controlling him with a simple, unbreakable wrist lock. Security swarmed in. Julian Croft, the corporate predator, was exposed as a common criminal. His reign was over. The fight was won. In the quiet aftermath, the boardroom was a whirlwind of apologies and congratulations for Isabella. The media hailed her as a resilient genius. But she only had eyes for Liam, who stood quietly by the door, ready to retreat back to his world. She walked over to him, the crowd parting before her. "You saved everything," she said, her voice filled with a gratitude that went far beyond business. "We saved it," he corrected gently. That evening, she made him an offer. Not just a job, but a partnership. "I want you to be the head of a new division, a corporate integrity division. Your job will be to protect this company from the inside out, to be its conscience." Liam looked at her, then thought of Maya. He saw a future, not just of safety, but of purpose. A way to use his unique skills to build something, not just protect it. A way to show his daughter that strength wasn't just for the ring, but for doing what's right. On one condition, he said, my office is in the garage, and my daughter is my top surface, and missed the champion within. Liam's story reminds us that true strength isn't measured in dollars or titles, but in character. It is the quiet integrity we hold in our hearts, the courage to protect those we love, and the wisdom to know our own worth, even when no one else does. Share this story if you believe that the best of us are often hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to show the world who they truly are.